stragglers here. Give it another minute.
We still invite Scott to these things?
We do. Yeah,
Ah.
no, Scott's invited. Scott's in charge of something right now. Him and Ron have an
That-
update for us.
That scares me so much.
Not as much as you running the books, Anna.
Yeah. I feel sorry for Andy taking those over after I was done with them.
Yeah, it's all good. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Welcome to the August W7 PRA meeting. I'm Paul N0 VLR, chair of the board, and we'll do some introductions and see if we can pick up a few stragglers along the way. So on my left of my screen, I have Olin.
Hello, this is Olin, WA7YXY from Corvallis.
All right. Thank you, Olin. Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Ted.
W7RTM, loud and proud in Philomath, or just outside, actually.
Right. Next up, we have Tyler.
Todd Parsons, WB7DD, Southeast Corvallis.
Thank you, Tyler. Good to have you here tonight. Anthony.
Anthony, KE7OSN in Staten.
All right. With the new homeowner. Oh, as a new homeowner. Ron in 7QP land.
Yeah, Ron Post, AE4JL, and Happy Millersburg.
Right on. And Paul from the lovely metropolis of Roseburg.
Paul, W7PEB, somewhere between Winston and Roseburg.
And Elise.
Hi, I'm Anna McDermott, NH6Z, and I'm from the city that Friendlin is built.
That would be Lebanon. Okay, Larry, good to have you.
Oh, this is Larry, AF7NU in Northeast Corvallis.
Thank you, Larry. Scott.
Hello, everybody. KF7UGN here, Scott in Corvallis as well.
And we'll go to Mike with the puffin behind him.
Yep. Yeah, at least he's not sitting on my shoulder. This is W7RIS Mike in about 10 miles north of Corvallis.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm going to take a quick moment and a pause here. I think it's appropriate for not just Bill, but for I just learned about Tyler's young bride just passed away. And so I want to give just a quick moment of silence in honor of them. And for you, Tyler, all the best to you. And you know we have your back. If you need something, please call out.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So normally we do the presentation first, but we've got some extra items here. I wanted to get through the business portion. So we're going to do that first, and then we'll get to Mike's exciting topic on some, well, I'll leave it as a surprise. So Secretary's report. Ted?
Well, I sent out the minutes from July last Thursday. I haven't heard anything back. Usually somebody points out a misspelling, but they're good this time. If there's any additions, deletions, if anybody's read them, let me know. W7RTM@ARRL.net.
They look good to me, Ted.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, I forgot to hit send on my reply. I was in camping, but thank you very much for doing that, Ted. And I'll have a quick update on one of the items here. And that's a good reminder that you put in here because there's been a change. But fine with the meeting minutes. Okay, so the treasurer's report. I know Andy is traveling, and so I will find my email from him as soon as I can find it. Hang on a second. I got too many screens here. All right, here we go. So the treasurer's report as of August 19th, which is 2 days ago. The OSU checking is $1,586.27. The OSCU savings is 2484.76. The total is a little over 4,000 at 4,071 and change. PayPal, we've got some money in there, $117. Square Up, less than $1. Cash, less than $1. The total figure is 4190 and 48. Let's see if I can share this. And if I can do the right share screen here. Let's find the right screen. Screen 2. Hope that you all can see that. You guys seeing that?
Oh,
No, not yet.
Oh, I didn't hit the right button. Hang on a second. There we go. So again, the OSCU, Oregon State Credit Union checking, the savings. There's the total here. And with a little bit of PayPal money added to it and a less than $1 here and there, it's up to 4190. So even after all the expenses of field day and other things, we're still pretty flush with some expenditures if we need to. Any questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none. So Ron, you've got probably 2 topics tonight, so I wanted to focus on the website right now. If you wanted to say something about the website, we can certainly do that. And if you want to share something, you're welcome to do that. Or if you want, I can do it from here.
I don't know that I got anything to share. It's www.peakradio.org. If you haven't had a chance to get out there, it's there. I'll keep updating the only thing I really have had to update is the recording. I go out and point to that, to the new one for each meeting. If there's anything that you want to add or change, add something to the calendar, just let me know.
All right. Thanks, Ron. That sounds like an open invitation. And we do appreciate any, make them good comments. Don't just say, I don't like this. Maybe make a suggestion as to say what you would like. This is our website. I have talked to Chris on that same topic. I talked to him the other day, not only on the phone, but on the radio. Yes, on the radio. Chris is on the radio. Several times now I've caught him on the repeater system. And it was great to hear him, great to talk to him. He's really into HF Mobile now. But I told him that we did have a website that was ready to kind of be integrated. So we're going to work towards that. He's in the middle of a project that's going to take him through the beginning of October with his business of doing some tower work. So not too much to mention here, except that he's doing that and he's very busy. He's got a deadline. So I don't want to bother him too much with that right now. So just know that we will get that all integrated with w7pra.com and have a unified message as an end result. So thank you, Ron, for spearheading that. And I'll have some comments and I'll throw them in about a week or so. I'll send them back to you. Okay. Mike has a special topic here regarding the estate of Bill KE7ZKH. He has some ideas. I'd really look for some helpful hands and volunteers here so that we can, do Bill an homage and an honor. And so, Mike, why don't you lead the discussion for us?
So Bill Powell has a pretty substantial estate of ham radio equipment, and Drew's agreeing with that. And Michelle, his wife, it's, whenever any of us pass and move on, it's unfortunate whoever gets left behind gets to sort through a pretty good pile of equipment as far as what can be sold, what's worth some money, what needs to just be thrown in the rubbish bin. And so I've talked with her a little bit, and I wanted to pitch an idea for the rest of the group if they would like to end up if the club would like to end up helping out to take and dispose of Bill's estate there. So the intent there is that we have some stuff that could probably be sold straight away to individuals that would like it. We also have Rick Riel that comes up a couple of times a year that we can sell things through there. But there's enough stuff in there that, we need to go through there and do an inventory of what Bill has. And we need to establish what we think the price is going to be on that. And I want to try and do things in such a way where we have lots of transparency, where Michelle's, Bill's wife there can actually see what we're passing on and what we're selling, what we're think it's worth, and what we actually get for it to pass back to his wife there. So I wanted to ask, first of all, is there any discussion? Do you guys feel like there's something we should be doing, or do we end up needing to walk away from this? So anybody has some points of comment?
Well, Mike, I would be willing to volunteer to help out with that.
I would be willing to volunteer, subject to the fact that my kitchen is like empty of cabinets and appliances right now, and it needs to get filled before I can engage in any extracurricular activities, or I might not be alive to see any of you next time. So subject to that, I am wholeheartedly interested in helping, and I think it's the right thing to do.
Okay. Mainly, I'm trying to see is this something that we want to sponsor as a club, and then we can work out some logistics as far as people helping out.
In my opinion, yes.
Vote to second.
Yep.
Anthony, okay, Olin, yep. Okay, and Paul out there. Okay, and so do I have I think we have our blessing from the club, so I can go ahead, and I'll have to say for the next 2 weeks I'm pretty booked out. I'm back in town for about a week and a half, and then I'm gone again up until the 1st of October. So I have really no time available for execution of this, but I'd like to try. And when is the fall Rick Riel event? When does that come along?
October.
Okay.
About the last part of October.
Okay, that's what I thought. So I'll communicate with Michelle and let her know that what our plan is, and then we can work out times in the first part of October to get over there and try and conduct an inventory of what we have, and to help whittle things down as far as what should go on the trash and what do we think we can actually get some money for. Any other
Thanks, Mike. Is there a do we have so much that we need to start earlier in September, or is there, like, you've seen what we're probably working with more than maybe others on the call here?
No, I think that we can go through there in a good half a day with 3 individuals with the mission of going through there and cataloging things. So we need to catalog what it is, serial numbers on it, and we can all get together or do a little research on our list and see if we can come up with a fair market price.
I'm wondering if there's some sort of phone application. I'll do some research that we might be able to do where we can like take a picture of the stuff and throw some notes in our phone and then consolidate it afterwards, and that way we got pictures and documentation and stuff. That seems like something that somebody might have invented.
Yep, Anna, you're headed in the same same thing that I was kind of thinking, was trying to get pictures and just getting the catalog of stuff, and then we can sit down and we can figure out what we think the value of it is.
Right.
So it's October 21st, so.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I thought it was earlier. That's why I said about September, but I think in October, we can knock this out.
okay. Yeah.
We want to say the 7th for getting together to knock it out. That's the 2 Saturdays before. I just want to put it on my calendar now, so I block it out.
I think that sounds good.
And if I don't have a kitchen by the 7th of October, then I'm
You're
dead
dead anyway.
anyway. So yeah.
I can bring my camper over. You guys could, you and Kathy could use my remote kitchen if you'd like.
Oh,
So
we
I
have a-
plan on meeting up over at Bill's house at 10 a.m. on the 7th for those that are doing it.
You know, I like getting a plan together, so that sounds good. That sounds good, and I'll work it out with Michelle and see if if all those stars line up correctly.
Okay.
And as I like to say, more hands make work light. So whatever we can do. I know too many hands won't help at all, Mike. So it's up to you if you want to post it out on the Google Reflector beyond this call to see if you need any more hands. But I'll go with your advice.
Yeah, I'm thinking 3 or 4 people should make it really pretty easy to go through that stuff. I think any more than that, we just won't have the space to do things.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Is there any more discussion on the estate of Bill and what the club has discussed and agreed to as far as Rick Rial and other support that we're willing to give Michelle?
You know, another thing I thought is that maybe the people that actually get involved and help sorting through things, they might get first claim for purchasing any of that stuff.
That's right.
Is this something we may want to take advantage of as a club with regards to if we're selling things at Rick Rial anyway? If people have, maybe it's too much to sort everything out, but if you want to throw some of your own stuff on the club table, then that might be possible. Depending on how much Bill's stuff is, we may need to gauge whether we need 1 table or 2, right?
You're correct. And Anna, that's a very good point, because it also means we have to plan early enough to acquire tables and put up some money for that. And then that brings into, well, if people want to sell things on the table, do we end up charging a little admission charge for money to go back to the club, or is it just pure profit for the individuals selling things? I know a lot of the clubs end up, asking, 5 or 10% of the selling price up to a certain amount.
I don't know. I kind of think that the tables are $15 a piece and the club's sitting on almost $4,200. I'm not sure that makes a whole lot of sense for me in our case right now. If it were somewhere more expensive like CPAC or Dayton, but I'm never going to Dayton. But yeah, I would feel a little bit differently, but we're not in a bad financial position in my opinion right now.
I would also like to vote that we move some kind of a memorial thing for it, make it a Bill Powell 73 table, and if people want to just donate money directly to his wife, they can do that too. Maybe they don't want to buy anything, but they want to contribute to his wife and his family. We can tell them everything we're raising here is going to help them. So that might be a
excellent idea.
I like that idea, Drew. Let's run it by Michelle to make sure she's okay with that.
Well, she doesn't have to know the name of its donations. We just say it's all money we raised from the equipment.
So what you're saying? So what you're saying is you're actually going to receive the money that the equipment's really worth, is what you're saying.
Okay, but what's the serial number on that piece of equipment?
No, I was just gonna say, there's a lot of people that go to Rick Rail that know Bill that, you know.
Yep. I agree. Yeah, all of that stuff I think is a great idea. I think we're gonna need multiple tables, either with just Bill alone or just, other members of the club taking advantage of the club table. I don't think, I'm just gonna throw out a number saying 3 tables is gonna be, I'm gonna say it's gonna be probably right about close.
So I have an amp that I need to sell, and so that's something that's going on the table unless someone wants to pony up to it pretty quickly, and
Okay.
before it hits the table. So I got a few things that I want to end up selling. I don't know if anybody else does.
I have some test gear that's in a pile. I'll see if I can do an inventory, and if anybody here wants test gear, I'll make you a real good deal because it needs to move out of my garage.
Make room for the kitchen cabinet.
Yeah.
No, it's actually to pay for the kitchen cabinets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, and I'll volunteer time to just man the booth too for Rick Rail.
Yeah. That's I think what we need is warm bodies behind the booth to answer questions.
Okay.
Um,
So along with that, we'll need to set up we need a cash box. We'll need to put together a protocol on how we do a sell and how we log that sell. So we know we have some checks and balances, some double bookkeeping as far as what should be in that cash box. And also, like a lot of times when you're selling stuff, you have the asking price, and then you have as the morning goes on, you have the bottom price that you would sell it at. So we need to list that. And then we have the actual price that it actually gets sold for. So there's some bookkeeping stuff and some checks and balances that we need to put in place when we do that.
Okay. And Mike, I had to step away for just a minute, but did you say anything about one of Bill's relatives asking them to join us at Swaptoberfest at least?
No, I haven't done that.
Okay. So that was an invite. It's not mandatory, but it would certainly add to the inclusion of Bill's family with his estate and us helping. So we would, of course, extend the invite to Michelle or Naomi or anybody who wants to help us with, that sort of event. So have we voted on the number of tables yet? I'm thinking 3 at least. And I'd be happy to go ahead and secure, I've got the website up here already. I can do that tonight and just secure the tables now. And I'll just get reimbursed with, I can write myself a check, so it doesn't matter.
So I know at least 2. I'm kind of wondering about, do we really need 3?
I would advocate for 2 and then maybe no more than 3. And then whatever is left over after Swaptoberfest, there will be the February Rick Rail meet as well. And I think
Is that the Skark one?
Salem.
The Salem.
Yeah,
one?
Salem Amateur.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think with 2 or 3 tables, and I would advocate more towards 2. I think that's a manageable amount of stuff to contend with for a morning, and then evaluating what we have left to move for February, and then maybe do 2 tables in February, and
Okay.
see where we're at volume wise after that.
I'll put a question on the floor. Does anybody want to recommend 2 tables?
I do.
All in favor? Okay, I see Anthony and Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, Secretary, please note that we are going to acquire 2 tables. I will go ahead and acquire those 2 tables under my call sign with our club name. And I will make sure that I communicate that out to the local community, our Google groups that, you know, we do have a table that, you know, we have at Rick Real.
And I do know that if there is some overflow, if we are approaching that almost needing 3 table range, both Spike Smith and Dave Hackelman will have tables at Rick Real, and both of them would be more than happy to put some more gear on their stuff too.
Yep, that's
Right
right.
on. Yep. Thank you, Anthony. Good point. Any other topics that we want to discuss on Bill's estate, or are we all good on this? Mike, I want to thank you for reaching out to Michelle and providing that human interaction as we went through and working with Bill as his health declined, and as well as offering our help as a club. I know we've had a couple of conversations on this. I want to thank you for your efforts there.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna switch this over to let's see. Well, that's more of a new business. I'll move that down here. Changing the agenda here.
Sounds like it's a virtual agenda.
It is. It's moving. It's kind of like the requirements for the next project, Mike. We're thinking them as we're going. I am thinking the customer needs this. So the repeater report. I do want to say that I did talk to Chris. He's updating his Facebook page routinely for the W7PRA network. And I think this actually goes better here, so I'm going to stick it in here as well. So, you know, he's got a lot of the nodes. I was unable to hit a couple of the Roseburg nodes. I was working with Paul W7PEB, excuse me, on trying to reach him on that one, and I was having trouble, and so I thought maybe my programming is wrong, and I still haven't checked it yet, but I would encourage you to program all the repeaters into your radio, so in case you're traveling. But Chris keeps them up to date, and of course, with the fire season in, he's managing them even more succinctly to make sure that the people that need repeater coverage have what they need for communication. So I heard that on the last Saturday, and so this is a segue into the repeater report. There was K6KNE or N6KNE, excuse me, Ken, who's a regular on our PRA system. He's a truck driver that goes from California to Washington quite a bit. And I've talked to him in the morning, and he decided he would like to start a linked set of Alrata stations, which are the repeaters that are on the air that are reflected on the All-Star network. And so I know very little about it, but I participated and I chimed in on behalf of the Peak Radio Association, and anybody else that chimed in, thank you. I was only able to stay about 20 minutes. But he had like Las Vegas, Nevada, he had Southern California, he had some other folks chime in from other places. And it was a nice little gathering. It was the first of a kind. At the end of the event, we called it a success. There was very little interference. We had a couple of stations with background noise. We got through that. And so we made room for emergency traffic if there was any. And we talked about how nimble the repeaters were that were part of the network, because you could connect and disconnect them at will. And in fact, I didn't know this, but Chris actually desegmented some of the southern repeaters and some Southern Oregon repeaters to give to the California wildfire fighters during the time that they were fighting them, and then reconnected them once they did not need them anymore. Anyway, you saw the email I sent out, and if you didn't, let me know, because you're not on the list, and I don't know why that is. But it was really nice that Ken spearheaded this, and I appreciated his efforts in trying to inspire more community involvement. And so, anyway, anybody have anything to add to that, or positive or negative? Either way. Okay. As more things come up like this, where we're trying to add more energy into the repeater network, I'll post it on there because he knows that I'm a good point of communication for that. And I'll put it out on the Ham Club online. And I apologize if you're getting two postings of the same thing because you're on Google Groups and the Ham Club online. That's just the way it is. I can't get everybody on either one. So I want to make sure everybody gets a chance. Okay. Next up, we have a picnic in POTA. And Ron and Scott, one of you, maybe you could talk a little bit about when that is and how much participation you need and what how we go from here.
Okay, well,
Do it.
yeah, I'll speak up to it. It's unlike Paul's little note to himself, it's actually Saturday, the 16th of September. I think he had the 18th on there. Scott and I looked, and Sarah Heimlich is really our best option. It's associated with the Parks on the Air, and it's just a great place to meet. There's nice facilities there. They have electric, plenty of tables. My thoughts are 11-ish to 2-ish. We've actually got up to 50 people reserved. Not that anybody's going to be there counting. So if we had 52 or 54. Last meeting, we actually set a budget for it. My question, I know last year Paul brought a grill. We had some food out there. I'd like to just kind of repeat that. And if we can get a couple stations set up out there too, I think that'd be kind of neat too. Scott, anything you want to add?
No, I would just echo what you just said. I think the park, Sarah Helmick Park is probably our best bet. We did it last year, so we know what to expect there. And, it's not too far away. And I think everybody knows how to get there and so forth. And yeah, I think it's an ideal spot for to set up POTA. They have nice facilities, nice bathrooms, picnic facilities and so forth. And they're right by the river, by the way, the Kymete River. So anyway, but yeah, I think I agree with you there, Ron. I think we hopefully will get a good turnout, and yeah, maybe at least one POTA station, perhaps two. We'll see what we can wrangle. So yeah.
That was Saturday the 16th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Rough time.
Yeah.
Well, we could probably go longer than just two. I mean, people can hang out there all day. I guess, unless Ron, do we have a reservation?
There's nothing making you go home. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not like we're limited to just those 3 hours,
No.
right? Or 4 hours. No,
Yeah,
3
You
hours.
can come in as far as I remember, wasn't it like 8 a.m. or something was the earliest that you could possibly check in on that reservation that you made, Ron? It was
It's
pretty early.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know that they actually list the hours. Yeah,
Come as early as you want, stay as late as you like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's our pretty much our
Yeah.
guideline on that.
But if we kind of
Can I ask a
focused
POTA
around
question?
I'm sorry.
May I ask a POTA question?
Yes.
There's a park down not very far from me, Fort Hodgkins,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't seem to be on the list. So I don't know how they're added or if it even qualifies since it's a fort and not a park.
Ron could speak to that, I think.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's to be added as a park, it has to be a state or federal park. And then pretty much once it's on the list, it stays on the list. I know there's one up on the other side of Lebanon, Cascadia, that's actually become like a county park, but it's still on the list because it's, I guess, a little more of a pain to remove than add. So on the POTA website, there is the criteria to be a qualified park. I don't know if I have more, there's a process to find there if you think one's been missed. I know they've been pretty resistant to adding any new parks in the United States. unless it truly is a new state or national park.
Mhm.
They're trying to focus on adding more of the international stuff and got their resources working on that where they can.
Fair enough. I just looked it up. It's a county park, so that explains everything.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ted. So I'm thinking what I'd like to see, Ron, Scott, just send out an email to remind people of the date. Number one, and number two, if you need something from them, like you want to invite them to bring a side dish, or if you want them to bring a radio or whatever, anything that would inspire some of that. And whatever you send, I'll reflect on the Ham Club online, or whoever has admin admissions to do that can do that. I'm happy to do it either way, so we can extend it to our members that are a little bit further away, that aren't on the Google groups. And I'll usually get some responses from them. If anybody, we had like 1 or 2 people that weren't on our usual Google groups that came last year, and we were happy to see them. So it just picks up a few stragglers.
If I was remembering last year, did the club meet or buy the meat? And then we had everybody bring a dish that wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I thought that worked pretty good.
Mhm.
And then Paul, you and I can work out, and Scott, that piece of it.
Mhm.
I'm assuming you can be there, Paul. So I'm counting on your grill.
I'm planning on it.
I'm not bringing tongs this year.
I don't blame you. You should leave those home.
Just bring
Bring
that thing back,
disposable
yeah.
tongs. It's not about the tongs, Paul. It's about remembering to bring them home.
The only thing else it'd be nice is to have an idea of who all things they can make it, so we can know how much to get.
Yep. Yeah, that's always the challenge. We went through this last year. A couple of us tried to get through and banged our heads together and came up, and we overbought. Because some of the meat that you can buy comes in these really big sleeves of either 18 or 36, and you have to kind of like figure out which one's which. Winco seems to be a premier place to go. Costco is another one, and we just we might even have some condiments left over we can do. I have a supply of plates and napkins that we've used for other events. This is another one of those times I can bring those to.
The only thing I would say is we may, I mean, most likely it will not rain, but we may want a contingency plan just in case it does, or it's predicted to for that time. You never know.
Well, I think the contingency plan, since we've already made the reservation for the park, is bring an easy up or a all-weather gear, because we're all in Oregon.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean to change the day. I should have clarified. That kind of stuff, umbrellas, whatever. Yeah.
So the best thing you guys can do, Ron and Scott, is just communicate out what it is that you need, and then maybe you get some hands up that'll help out with trying to do this. And I do appreciate you guys spearheading this. This is great, and I'm sure it'll go just fabulously.
Yeah.
And I will say, just a heads up, expect a little extra traffic on 99. That is an OSU home game day, and it's a 12:30 p.m. kickoff.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that.
So early in the morning, we're going to expect some traffic jam.
People still go to OSU football? I don't understand.
They are pretty much sold out, even with the re-expanded capacity, which is not as much as they actually have before, but that's a whole different set of math.
That'll change soon enough when they're in the Mountain West.
Okay. Any other discussion on Picnic and Poda? Did we I know Andy's not here. But maybe Ted, do you remember us setting a budget for this as far as food items go? Anybody mentioned this before? I know we had the idea and showing out some interest. I don't know as if we voted on an amount.
We did. We accepted it was in last month's meeting minutes, $120 is what we set aside.
Okay,
And one more point that I'd like to mention, I was just looking at the W7PRA call on QRZ, and the QRZ page says it's still managed by, oh my goodness, W0ULF, and his name just popped out of my head.
Vaughn.
Vaughn.
Yep.
So I don't know if we need to contact Vaughn and change that or what.
Well, do we have plans on what we want to put on that page?
Well, the reason I was looking is it seems to me these accounts, you can put a web page on QRZ. So, and that's why I was looking.
mhm.
I'm assuming the website, the www.peakradio.org is our final URL. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It'd be nice to link them up.
Somewhere along the way, I have the password for the QRZ webpage. So the QRZ presence, I should say. Ted, I made a note on my fancy sticky notepad here to contact Vaughn if I cannot find it, because he gave it to me. I'm writing down the Swaptoberfest tables. Okay. All right, thank you. Ron, you know how to get a hold of me. Scott, you do too. If there's any other questions, let's plan on just kind of keeping in that budget, and then we'll see what people can bring, and it'll be a fun picnic. And if you think it's going to rain, bring your umbrellas or easy ups or whatever you want. All right, thanks. One last note. As far as the club goes, we've had an ARRL affiliation coming up on 10-year anniversary. Anthony, you got a note from Bonnie Altus. It's coming up this late summer, early fall. And I forget exactly when it is, but it's like coming up on September, I think, if I remember right. So we've been an ARRL affiliated club for that long.
So it was as of August so as of now, we are 10 years with ARRL.
Yeah. Okay. So we will try to make some sort of a note or some sort of a something or other for the 10-year anniversary, either at the Picnic in Poda or we'll put it on the website or both. All right. Let's move on. Does anybody have any new business before we move on to the educational portion?
Yeah,
I have one note too.
Anthony, go ahead.
So with the Benton County Aries group, one thing we saw recently is that quite a few people who had the @arrl.net forwarding emails, we saw a whole rash of those start bouncing. And apparently ARRL's had some difficulty with how those forwards are set up. So if you are using an @arrl.net email address, it doesn't hurt to actually go in and go into the ARRL and update that forwarding email address that forwards to, because there have been some issues where that's gotten reset and hasn't actually forwarded to anything. And if you think you've got emails that you're supposed to be getting from an organization that you may have signed up with an email address that was the @arrl.net, you may want to check with them and make sure that your emails just haven't been bouncing out. We had like 4 or 5 people that had those emails on file that actually just we got notification from the listserv that they were being suspended from the list because they kept bouncing. So.
Thank you, Anthony. That's good advice. You never know what's not coming to you if it hasn't arrived. Okay, anybody else have any other upcoming events or anything newsworthy to share?
Yeah, Paul, I got a little bit to talk about. We have the state fair that's coming up, and the Salem Amateur Club fell into a really neat pocket this year where they got a table for, I think it was 3 days at the fair for no cost, and that's most unusual, but it all depends on who you know around the area. And so the Salem Amateur Club is reaching out to see if they can get, actually, I think it's like 3 tables, and kind of reaching out to see if they can get other amateur radios to help, amateur radio operators to help man the table and to try and preach the gospel of ham radio. So if anybody wants to do that through the fair, send an email to me and I'll get you connected up to the right guy in charge of that.
CEO of the
The other part that's coming up is that for next year, being that this is kind of taken on there's a whole bunch of other clubs like Valley Radio Club, some search and rescue stuff. There's all kinds of other stuff that guys that are jumping into this that thinks that it's a really good idea at the state fair to have the amateur radio presence. So they're already planning next year to actually buy some physical tables that they can actually control where they're at, and to allow bring in a bunch of equipment, set up a radio station that they can operate all the way through the fair, and do a whole bunch of public service type of things. So anybody interested in that, also let me know and I can get you connected up to the right guy that will be spearheading that for next year. So I think that's a pretty cool idea. A lot of people are pretty jazzed about having a really big, or having some presence, ham radio operation at the state fair.
That's a great idea, Mike, and I think it's very innovative. And somebody high on up on the state fair must really like amateur radio, so we thank them for that.
Yep.
Now, this doesn't have anything to do with what Mike just said as far as when the dates are available, but for this year, it's going to be August 25th through September the 4th, as far as the state fair goes. The Oregon State Fair, right? Did I get that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's only like 40 different fairs going on in Oregon in the summer. So I just want to think I got the right one. OregonStateFair.org for anybody who wants to see it. But I don't, I'm not looking to see if there's anything on amateur radio here. They're only going to be doing the major highlights, like who's playing on concert and whatnot.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Any other new upcoming items or items of interest before we go ahead and move on to the educational portion?
I'll add one more final thing is that for this solar cycle, the bands have been hot and cold, hot and cold. When they're hot, they are really hot. I mean, just tons of stuff going on. And people are having a really easy time getting their work all states, and New Hams are doing really good at coming up and getting GXCC. And it's really easy on the, like 15 meters, 20 meters. And if you like work bands, 12 meters has been very nicely open. And also 17 meters has been open. If you have the ability to work 30 meters, that's a really great band. But there has been, actually, it's kind of interesting. This last week, I didn't get beans as far as any new DXCC. The week before, I think I got like 5 new DXCC specific to different bands. Nothing overall, but specific to my particular bands. And I was spending most of my time setting on 12 meters, and it was easy pickings, really easy pickings, both for getting Asia and for getting tons of Europe. So at least for me, this will probably be the last big solar cycle I get to enjoy, but So I'm trying to spend as much time as I possibly can out there to do the fishing.
Thanks, Mike. That's a good reminder. Yeah, I've been trying to turn on the HF mobile and seeing what I can pull up when I'm driving the truck. So thanks for the reminder of the solar cycle. Anybody else? Last call. All right, Mike, I'm going to hand it over to you. You've got some interesting topic as always, something of interest to all of us. I do appreciate all the work you put into this, and I always learn something new.
Well, we'll see how it works today.